Everybody, welcome to Optimism Fractal. We're here for our 23rd meeting, and I have the pleasure to be here with Will, Rosmari, Tadas, and Jason, and we have an exciting day planned for Optimism Fractal. So thanks everybody so much for joining us. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to get into a presentation with a quick recap and intro to Optimism Fractal and where we're at right now. And yeah, if anyone wants to say hello or share anything, then feel free. And there we go. We were just talking about Will hosting some cool X spaces that I'm sure we'll hear more about during the Respect game and all sorts of cool stuff. And good to see everybody waving and all the happy faces here. Optimism Fractal, I think everybody knows, everybody who's watching probably, community dedicated to fostering collaboration and awarding public goods careers in optimism. You can learn more at optimismfractal.com. And it's a great place where you can meet optimists and innovators at our weekly events. And we play this innovative Respect game too, which everybody here has played. And we'll go over that briefly for anybody who's not familiar, who's watching. It's also a great place to promote your work since we produce videos and we are creating the optimistic vision here and building tools that helps everybody create the optimistic vision too. So check out the website to learn more, but I'm going to keep it short here. And we invite you to join our events every Thursday at 17 UTC and invite friends too. We love to meet new people, and the more people who can get involved with Optimism Fractal, the better for everybody, because it can really create profound benefits together and also have a great time. We publish all the videos on optimismfractal.com/media as always, and we just published a new episode introducing respect trees, which is an idea that Tadas has been working on for a while. It's an excellent way to set priorities and evaluate impact. This is from a couple months ago now, but this is when we explored how OPF trees can coordinate collective decisions and lighten the review process for retro funding, which we also discussed as well. And I think we'll discuss more today. It's an exciting topic going on the Optimism Collective. And then there's also more videos about everything else that's going on here that too that you can learn from. As always, you can check out our Discord. Encourage you to join and chat throughout the week. Feel free to ask any questions there as well. We're just going to put out a nice message here encouraging people to join, as well as check out the Notion and the previous episodes and everything like that. And we're also posting on Warpcast 2 on the Optimism Fractal channel. So I recommend people to join and retweet and like and so forth. And we're also on Twitter too, or X, which is why I said retweet. Optimistics are posting stuff. If anybody's not familiar, check out optimism.io. And I think everybody knows about this who's watching now, but awesome things going on in Superchain for public goods creators. And check the link in the description to learn more about optimism and see how you can get involved. And you can also check out optimistics.io, which is a team that created Optimism Fractal in the first place. So there's lots of more you can learn in the blog and so forth too. After the main Eden Fractal, again, after the main Optimism Fractal event, we're going to be doing the planning session as we do. So we do the respect game for an hour. We're up to an hour, and then we have another half hour for anybody who wants to stick around for the planning session where we coordinate the future and have a general planning discussion. So invite everyone to join for this secondary event as well. And then I just put out a message in the Discord too that I'd like to talk about. Also happy to hear anything else that is on everybody's mind, but put out this message here. One, following up on last week, we had discussed in our planning session last week about opportunities with retro funding, which is the big public goods funding mechanism in the Optimism Collective. That's super helpful. So there's a timestamp here if anyone wants to catch up on last week's meeting and those discussions. And then I also put out an idea about starting up a seasonal structure, which we talked about several different times at Optimism Fractal as well. So I put this out in the Discord, and I'm very curious to hear everybody's thoughts here. It would sync up with retro funding. So perhaps we can get into that in the planning session afterwards for anybody who'd like to, or once again, feel free to share any thoughts on your mind. There's also a Notion page that's not loading that's related. And then if we do decide to do a seasonal structure, then we have a consensus process that you can learn about at optimismfractal.com/details, or also in these videos where you can learn more when we first implemented these processes. Basically, everybody can sign up for being in council each week. And this last week, there's 4 counselors who have signed up. So anybody who's earned respect can sign up to participate in the council. I encourage you to do so. And you can also make polls or proposals in the Optimism Fractal snapshot too for these kinds of things or anything else. One other thing I'll just give a quick shout out here too is Optimistics has put out a tweet about the Notion page. So I recommend everybody who's interested in exploring Optimism Fractal more and getting involved to check out the Notion site. We've been doing a lot of great work there. You can find the link on X or on Farcaster or on Discord. And so I just added some more like education hubs and development hubs and lots of projects that people can get involved with. And shout out to Hodlon as well, who made shout out to Hodlon and Bitbeckers, who made a product requirement document for Optimism Fractal, which has a lot of really interesting ideas. They're looking for feedback, so encourage anybody who is interested to read it, check it out, and provide feedback. There's also a bunch of great comments here too that you can check out. So that's that. We're going to play the respect game. For anybody who's watching doesn't know, each person will get 4 minutes to share what they've been doing to help optimism, and then we're going to work to reach consensus on who helped the most, second most, third most, fourth most, and so forth. And people get more respect for helping more. and you can learn more about respect and the respect game at optimistic.io/respect game. There's a tutorial, and then there's also a page specifically about respect where you can learn more about this profoundly helpful soulbound token. So that's it for my presentation. I hope I'm getting faster at these. Thank you for listening. Hope you're all enjoying. And shall we jump into it? Does anybody have any thoughts on your mind that you want to share, or does anybody want to go first in the respect game? And as tradition has it, sometimes there's a little bit of silence as people wonder. Good to see you, Jason. If anyone wants to tell a joke, that's okay too.
You're doing very well at the introductions. Seamless. No time wasted. Better and better.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does this every week, so he had some time to practice.
I mean, public radio is a public a good narrator's voice. Flow.
And speaking of narrator voice, I
I mean,
think
I'll
that
volunteer to
you're
go first because I won't use the full amount of time.
okay. Sounds good. Oh, the one thing I was going to say is that your audio was like a little bit crackly there, got a bit robotic. So hopefully it'll be good. But also before that, I'll say I appreciate the feedback, and I'm working to make it better and better. I had a discussion about making it shorter with Vlad, but yeah, but anyway, yeah. Thank you, and very curious to hear what you're been up to, Jason.
I'll try to improve my audio. I switched off the headphones. Is that better?
Yeah, it sounds totally fine now. Yeah, I think it might have been an internet issue where it just kind of like went like or something.
Wireless can only be so good sometimes.
Right. Well, it's good now. I hope it will be good going forward, and I'll let you know if there's any like big issues.
Yep, cool. I mean, I haven't done anything in particular for Optimism in the past week or the past while. I'm returning to I guess, the meeting and the routine. So that's why I won't use very much time in the respect game for today. I'm here to catch back up to speed, mostly just be listening. Obviously, everything about public goods is something I find interesting. I have a few projects on the go that are for public good, but they're not for optimism, the token. So just like within the silo, I don't think I really added something in particular. Does that make sense?
That
So I
does.
think I'll leave at that as far as my presentation goes. I mean, I'll share all about the project work that is for public good at a later time in a story, but not within the respect game, right?
Okay, well, sounds good. It's up to you. You still have 3 minutes left on stage, so if you want to share more, then you can. And also, too, I can mention, like one, just being here. That's a great contribution to optimism. So really appreciate that. Really appreciate your support and help and joining. And then two, I think just anything that helps achieve the optimistic vision, which is, obviously things that are directly focused on the Optimism Collective and Optimism Network or and the super chain are like really uh, like really important and really very much appreciated. But anything that helps achieve the optimistic vision, which is like creating a better future for an internet, creating a society where there's more public goods, all sorts of stuff like that, or helping Ethereum in any way. I know you're working with Crypto Oasis and Web3 meetups and stuff like that. So if you wanted to share anything more that you're working on, then feel free to as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think that optimism is essential and it can be a learned skill. I think that like there's always a way to learn your way through the silver lining, if nothing else. If nothing else. And that um one of the greatest joys in life is learning, in my opinion. I find that the moments where I'm happiest are the moments right after I had a realization of some type. Right? It just made sense. It just clicked, like I understood, and it's relief. Like, I see it now, finally, or something. So I try to spread joy like that in that way by opening our minds, opening eyes. We don't perceive with our eyes, we perceive with our minds. And so you see from within in a way, right? And that it's exploratory education, my meetup. And so we wander in the conversation. We try to find connection points between different topics, far different from each other sometimes. Just find interesting what's interesting and how things are all connected. Um, our focus area recently has been about rights, and how the right to property fits into the priorities of rights, and how digital assets are a unique category of property. And there's like an endless conversation. Some say freedom is an endless conversation because you have to hear from everyone, and we all have opinions. So I think I'm very, very also intrigued by like the cultivation of regenerative agriculture and the way that that pertains to medicines, and food sovereignty, energy sovereignty, medical sovereignty. These things are really important, and I feel as though we might sometimes be overwhelmed at the size and the scale of the change in this generation for what's happening, and education is the first step to it. So although it's taxing energetically to do some work, being optimistic no matter what, remaining optimistic and spreading optimism, to me seems worth it. And now I'm going to wax on philosophically. I'm going to watch the ticker wind down. I don't know what note to leave off on, but
All right. Tadas, is there something you want to say here?
Yeah, I can go next, and I can relate with Jason regarding being happiest when learning new stuff. That's true for me too. Uh, yeah, so I really respect what you're doing. It's currently, I don't know if these philosophical topics that you're exploring does not currently seem very relevant for me, but maybe someday we can connect on.
I don't need to keep my head on anymore. It's just that I always do this with the headphones, and we should. We'll continue. I'm rejoining. I can usually do Thursday mornings. So.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jason.
Cool. So I can go next. I will be short. Yeah. So I haven't done much over the past few weeks. I've been sick for some time, and then had some other issues, personal issues to deal with. Yeah. So I just distributed respect, participated in a couple of meetings with optimistics, and yeah, now getting up to speed with what's been happening. Been reading the Hodlon's document. Also trying to catch up to what Vlad and Dan have been working on. Their version of Fractal Lab that we could start using. That Vlad would build and we could start using. What else? Yeah, that's all I think. And now let's wait for 2 minutes.
I had less than that. I had to wax on, so you need to wax on.
Wax out. Okay, there you go. Yeah. I was trying to remember what people do when they twiddle their thumbs. I don't remember what the motion was. That's why I did a weird thing. Never mind me. Tadas, is there anything you want to wax on? I'm sure you did more too that maybe you're not remembering. But if you want to pass it on, or if you want to, we can have a 2 moments of silence while we think about all the great things that Tadas and Jason said. You're muted, Tadas.
Who wants to go next? Rosmari, can you go?
Yes. Okay. I keep remembering some things I did as we speak, because it's kind of hard to remember everything, because the week is kind of long or short. You can't decide. So, I'll share my screen.
Jason was saying something. I don't know if you're talking to us or not.
I'm
You're
sorry.
muted.
I don't know.
I was joking. It's all a blur. It just goes.
Yes, it's like it blends in and I don't know. So this past week,
Right. But okay.
yes,
No, I didn't see your screen, but now it's working. Never mind.
okay. This past week, what I've been doing kind of similar things to previous weeks, with some differentiations here and there. So I drafted the promotional messages for this meeting and shared it in the Fractally chats as well as the Eden Fractal chat, Telegram chats, inviting people to the event. I shared the Notion site here, maybe one of the first times that we share the Optimism Fractal community website outside to other communities. And I want to inspire them to start contributing, start coming into the events, and to scale up the whole experience and meeting. And also, I've been working, I think, on and off this week or the past week to finalize this thumbnail with Dan's help. He was providing feedback. And now, the story is that the light bulb with the heart goes and the sunflower puts up the light bulb and it lights up the tree of happiness and love. Then yes, I invite you to check out Optimism Fractal 16, which is the latest video uploaded. I'm working on catching up more on that. I also I edited the Optimism Fractal video from last week and worked a bit to do a draft version of the timestamps. And also thank you for the special person who's helping to complete and check the timestamps. Special thanks. Also, I did a similar thing here for Eden Fractal. I did the video from last week and worked on providing draft timestamps. Also, this is a similar promotion for today's event on from the Optimistics Twitter account alongside this tweet that leads again to our Notion page. Similar thing here with Discords in our Optimism Fractal Discord, and also the Optimisms show and tell page or Discord channel perhaps. And in the Optimism Governance forum posts as part of the Optimism Fractal weekly events thread, I posted an invitation as well as some updates about the retro funding discussion we did last week. And again, inviting and sharing the latest video uploaded. I also made my first kind of proposal or poll, actually, not proposal, but poll to join the council for next week. I've been also promoting the event in farcaster and sharing it in the Optimism different channels. And similar thing here with Eden Fractal strategy. In this week's event, I contributed with brainstorming on the seasonal structure for different fractals, and as well as promoting the event here on farcaster. I didn't show it properly over here. And thanks, Dan, for tweeting it. And also, sorry to go a bit over time, but I was researching and I watched this video from Bridges about Retro PGF and retro funding. Thank you, Abraham, for this nice farcaster cast, expressing interest in highlighting the respect token they used it at Optimism Fractal's event. And I also kind of was responding to some casts, inviting again and promoting Optimism Fractal. And this is the message, the promotional message for Eden Fractal. And also I've been, I also did the Eden Fractals video from this week. And as mentioned earlier, I participated. And then I've been testing out different ways to create thumbnails using ChatGPT when I paste the transcript and to ask it to come up with objects to include in a thumbnail to make up a good story, and then create thumbnails in Midjourney. And also, I've been kind of yesterday I generated a bunch of images to go with the promotional image for our weekly events that I usually create. And also, apart from that, I provided some feedback about the Fractal app and its development throughout the last week. Sorry to go a bit over them. Not a bit, a lot. I took Jason's into this next minute. Sorry.
You've taken Tadas' bounce that he left on the table.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Yes, you're welcome. Use our minutes.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
That means that Tadas gets credit for half those contributions though too.
Yeah.
Just kidding. and Jason too, maybe.
I don't know if maybe I was speaking too slowly. My browser was loading super fast. So, and I think it's maybe a combination. We're both very slow at this point. So who would like to go next? I choose? I can choose. Will, yes.
Thanks for choosing me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, let me get the screen share going here. Oh boy, this is new. We'll just try this.
Okay.
You guys can see my screen, yeah? Oh, there we go.
Yes.
I can also see my screen share. That's helpful.
Nice.
Okay. Sorry, gotta get this out of the way. Okay. This week, well, it's been a blur, as most people have said already. So I've been playing around with this new Markdown site that one of my peers gave me called hackmd.io, specifically for grant writing purposes. There's some opportunities that we're involved in and that we have available to us where they do use Markdown. So it just presents a more professional representation of it, other than it just being words. You can add images in here as well and things like that. So I've been doing this in preparation of a couple grants we're going to be applying for. So that's been really cool. Additionally, I took our GitHub and I made it public facing now, so that anybody can see what we've done, what we're going to be up to, and what we're going to be building for the future. So that's really cool. And made Kingfisher's Media into an official organization on GitHub. So this way, as we add in our development partners, they can have access to this kind of significant on GitHub as well. Additionally, I did out of necessity updated on Karma Gap or gap.karma.xyz. Our results from Kick My Grants 19, because one of the grant operators that has a grant going on right now, they wanted to kind of look at that type of visibility. So we did that. Also proactively looking at adding our Learn to Earn program on Karma as well. And then I think we lightly covered it last week about our new learning center on Charmverse. But as we're vetting this out, we are now using, maybe not OP directly right now, but we are using custom tokens on the Optimism chain as a rewards mechanism within our Learn to Earn program, as well as learners in our ecosystem are completing their courses. Additionally, with this type of program, we have also credentialing from EAS, so that's Ethereum Attestation Service. So this way, we now have become the certifier of the content. So now we're an educational certifying organization. As we build out more content in here, then they'll get this badge. It'll be pushed out onto the chain. It's going to be pushed out onto Optimism for the Ethereum attestation. And yeah, let's grow.
Let's grow. We still have about a minute left if you want to share any more. I know you're also hosting the podcast and stuff, or anything else you want to add, or?
No, that's it. I mean, we have 2 weekly shows, right? On Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. Most weeks we have 2 weekly shows. We're doing a web series right now called The Future of Business is Web3, just exploring different aspects of Web3 and how it's becoming transformative to traditional business methodologies. So we have that going on. It's at noon Eastern on X Spaces. So if anybody wants to check it out, just follow through on the Kingfishers Media account to the space and come in. You can listen. You can interact with the show. We are also repurposing the content for a new, well, fairly new effort. I think I've mentioned this before, though, but it's called Blockchain Adventures Network Radio. It's being broadcast in 212 countries. So we get regular airtime, typically about 4 hours a month of our very unique content that's played out to that channel as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Will. That's all really great to hear. And I really appreciate you sharing the presentation too. It helps us understand it better and it looks fascinating. As I was saying before, I enjoyed listening to the podcast too. So I don't know if I should call it a podcast, X Space, but encourage people to check it out.
I refer to it as live broadcasting because it's unedited and it's raw as opposed to podcasting. But I've also been told by professional podcasters that hosting spaces on X is the new form of podcasting. So it can go either way. I'll take it. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I appreciate the podcast. All right, I'll go ahead now and share what I've been doing. And first, we want to put up a timer, and I'll try to be timely. And my screen will share. All right. So, here's what I've been doing. I've been on this page a lot. Like this is like my second home now, the Optimism Fractal site. And so I added an education hub, which I'll go into a bit of detail about, and I organized this top area into the education hub a bit more as well. And then I sorted this by last week, so now you can see I created 6 projects over the past week for Optimism Fractal, and I'll probably go into more details about most of these. I brought them up. One is about ENS, as Will was just saying, and also with the Education Hub and with retro funding and stuff like that. And then I also sorted this by past week as well. This is the tasks that I created in the past week. So I created like a whole bunch of tasks, and then I would link these tasks around. And then a lot of these have like, some of them are really short, but some of them are like probably more detailed. You can click on them and then click around. Some of them I wrote a lot for. So that's what I've been working on a lot about. This education hub. A couple weeks ago, I built a development hub, which is kind of like curation of all the development projects and stuff like that. And this is like an education hub. There are a few people who expressed interest in like learning about Optimism Fractal and contributing in different ways. So I kind of put this together to provide this kind of learning resource and also curate a lot of the resources about like fractals and how they work and the history of fractals and different ideas we could do and stuff like that. And then I started to organize some of the projects according to education. So there's a bunch of educational projects everybody's welcome to get involved with, as well as educational tasks too. And then some of these I worked on a lot more too, because I started out by wanting to improve the website, and I don't know which tab I have that in here, but I've been talking with Rosmari a lot about improving the website, and then I thought it'd be great if we build the website with like new web pages, like how people can build Optimism Fractal and how people can contribute in different ways and how people can earn by helping Optimism Fractal and stuff like that. So I created a whole bunch of tasks about this, about like making like a council page, a build page, and stuff like that. But I'd love to inspire like a community process for this, because it's a lot of work basically. So that was kind of the inspiration for doing this, and then creating all these pages that people can get involved. And then I've also been working a lot, as Tadas mentioned he was looking into. I've been working a lot with Vlad on developing a respec game app or a fractal app that works on the EVM. So I've been managing this project for a while, and there's like a huge amount of tasks here. But one of the things I delivered this week that was like a really big thing was like I provide feedback and suggestions on Vlad's app, as well as like I wrote a lot of notes here. And then over the past few weeks, I've been writing a lot of ideas about how we can make this app like as helpful as possible and as simple as possible. So that's like a table of contents. And then there's like some Figma designs I've been working on here about building the app. And then like I built like a comparison table for a feature that we're wondering about, and like lots of different like ideas about how this app could be used too. So if anyone wants to check that out, then you can. And then the Figma app is linked there too. It's taking a lot of load. I also put together a page to fix the web app errors, because we've been having several different web app errors here too. So to make it easier to play, and I asked Vlad if he could help fix these, and then I organized these I think pretty well, like curating the timestamps where people are messing up. So I've been busy working late a lot nights, and then I asked Tadas about upgrading or migrating rather to ERC 1155 and wrote some reasons. And then I thought this idea about how each person can give their own personal respect, and I shared that in a meeting with the Optimistics that I hosted. And then I kind of wrote a little bit of ideas about how this could work, where people could distribute respect right after playing the game to make it really easy for people to like play with their friends and live and play for different purposes. I mentioned there's also this project about ENS. I reached out to Zug, who expressed interest in this, and then followed up about a technical error and have some tasks here about how we can integrate with ENS to make it easier to do that. I gave feedback for Rosmari on the thumbnail and helped write some of the description for this, and then was active on Twitter and a Warpcast as well, just like retweeting and providing feedback on all the tweets and casts that Rosmari had drafted, and then I also wrote up a little bit of like custom ones too to help in promote the events. Also hosted the Eden Fractal event where we talked about strategies for growing these processes and games and tools that we're doing at Optimism Fractal. So I hosted that event. Everybody's welcome to join those on Wednesday, 16 UTC. Helped craft that tweet and then came up with this topic and that picture for the this event where we discussed like strategies and also seasonal strategies, which is related to that. I also retweeted Abraham's tweet and some of his other stuff. He posted a bunch of great stuff, and I listened to Will's podcast as well, or podcast, yeah, which is very interesting. And then also I just put out a pretty long message. I reviewed Hodlon's and Bitbeckers document, and then I gave some feedback quickly there, and then I also gave a pretty detailed idea about seasons for Optimism Fractal as well. So that's that for me, and I went over a little bit too. Oh, and then that last thing I had up was a Notion page with more details. I put together like a calendar, but I can show you that afterwards.
It's fine. I have enough minutes for you too.
Thanks, Tadas. I think Tadas deserves the most respect for for being so generous with his time and giving it to us. All right. If anybody has any questions or comments, thank you. Thank you. If anybody has any questions or comments for anybody now, then feel free. Is anybody getting the fractalgram ready? Rosmari, Tadas, or anybody else?
Yes, me.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Rosmari.
I had a question for Will for that Learn to Earn program. So from what I understand, if someone completes a course, they earn a reward, the like 10
Yes.
OP.
Well, it's not OP, it's a custom token that we use in the Let's Grow DAO, but it is on the Optimism chain.
Okay.
For clarification.
And the Learn to Earn program, is it free for people to join?
So they have to mint one of our passports up front to join the ecosystem, but then from there, it's, you know, all the education is free. We just, right now, we have it token gated so we can control the growth as we're building out the infrastructure. I see in the near future, probably by the time we get towards the end of Q4 this year, early Q1 next year, that will open up the entire ecosystem for public access.
That's great. And what kind of variety of content is there?
So right now we have my master class that I've authored on. It's an 8-part master class in plain language about blockchain and 7 other key areas of blockchain ecosystem as a whole. I just got notified yesterday from one of my other cohorts in the education sector that he's providing his financial literacy course to us. So I have to basically go get that and bring that into the learning center. I have another educator that I've been working with down in El Paso who sent me some course curriculum that will be uploaded in there in the next week or less on social. This one's a very interesting topic because it's social emotional learning. So how do we learn from a social and a emotional response mechanism? That's a pretty interesting course. Predominantly, we're focused on emerging tech, and we're focused on life skills training because those are the 2 most primary areas that have been degraded over the past 2 to 3 decades in the traditional education system.
Great. Thanks for the details.
Yeah,
we have
within our community, we have potentially 30 people who can offer their own unique courses. The other thing that we do in the Learning Center is every other week we do live learning sessions. Right now, we've been working with the guest artist who comes in and he'll do like a live art session for like an hour, hour.
Is this happening weekly events you have with the
Every other week.
every other week?
Yeah.
Okay. And when is it happening? When are those events happening?
So those events are token gated as well, but the events happen on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. EST.
If you'd like to share any links there, Will, we'd appreciate it. And I know Rosemary started to put together like a page that's now in the Education Hub. And I started to put together a page
Oh,
too
yeah.
about events, and I mentioned I put one of the events you host, but there's several different things here that I think it'd be cool. And like the Notion page, we can kind of curate all sorts of
Well, I
like
have
links that people
access
might
to
be
the
interested
Notion
in.
page now, right? So I could just go in and
Yep.
self-service that.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I meant to reach out to you with that, yeah, but you have access now, so you can go write it and edit yourself if you want. That's in the Education Hub, or if you want to share it in here or in Discord, and then other people would see it there as well, and then we could edit for you if you'd like.
I'm sorry, I'm attached to too many Discord servers, so Telegram is more conducive to me right now. So.
Okay, there's not there is an Optimism Fractal Telegram group, but nobody's used it yet. But you can add it to Notion, or you can reach out to Rosemary or I or somebody on
I can
Telegram if you
share
want.
the page, the community page.
Okay,
Well, maybe that will be
Cool.
the easiest. Okay.
sounds good.
Also, the group on the fractalgram group is created.
Yes, but there's no prompt yet, and so far only
We're
3 people have
waiting for
joined.
Tadas and Jason to join. The link is in the chat. Tadas just joined.
Everyone's here. If anybody
Yes.
else has any questions or comments before we get any consensus,
Yes,
then
because
feel free to share.
sorry, I had many questions.
I love many questions.
Yeah, it's good questions. Learned a lot there. But we do need you, Rosemary, to put up the account prompt as well. Okay, there we go. So far, we're missing. Oh, just Jason hasn't done it yet. Well, very exciting hearing everybody's work. We'll have a interesting respect game here. As Jason is finagling with something, and it seems like maybe he has an earthquake happening with the way that his everything's going. You okay, Jason? Okay, Jason. Despite the natural catastrophes happening around, he managed to add the thing. I'm just joking around, of course. I think Jason was just holding his phone. Rosemary, you can add. Okay, cool. Who should be ranked as level 6? Who did the most to help optimism this week?
Sorry.
Oh, good. No problem. Thanks, Jason. I was just, I figured I would just kind of just tell some jokes or something while we were in.
Well, I'm sure it was funny. I'm sure it got a laugh. Anyways, just to have the shaky camera for a bit.
Yeah. You inspired us. I remember you shared some good comedy in past times too, so maybe your comedy's inspired us over the months as well. Okay, and so far there's been 4 votes, but we don't have a vote yet from Jason. Jason's just like chilling out here. No rush, by the way. I'm just I just figured out, so far there's a vote for Will, a vote for Rosmari, and 2 votes for me. So we do not have consensus.
I was leaning towards voting for you.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. So now I have 3 votes. Still don't have consensus. Would anybody like to share their thoughts either way? I suppose I could change my vote for myself for a consensus, but also I voted for Will. I think Will's doing awesome work. Happy to hear if anybody else has any thoughts or if you want to advocate either way.
I'm advocating for Rosmari because Rosmari does, I mean, both of you do a lot. But I feel Rosmari goes a little bit higher on the scale of exposure and awareness for what we're doing.
I don't know. Thank you. Sorry, I thought I'm on mute. Thanks. But I think Dan does a lot more. Has done a lot more this week than me.
Well, it's
So advocate for Dan.
different type of work. Like, Rosmari does a lot of stuff that promotes Optimism Fractal. Dan is organizing a lot of our own internal thoughts within Optimistics and Optimism Fractal. So it's hard
Like
to
the yin
compare.
and yang.
Try to pretend.
It's
Okay,
external.
you guys convinced me. I voted for Dan. I changed it. We can have, not sure we can
Okay.
have consensus, but you changed.
I'm
Yeah,
glad-
I mean, I agree. It's a different perspective, right? So Rosmari does a lot of external things for, Optimism Fractal and Eden Fractal, and then Dan does a lot of internal things. So.
I'm glad to have the commentary to give a little bit more context for the next decision. I don't want to try to pretend that I'm putting a tremendous amount of thought into this decision. Right? It's like, well, who am I going to pick? I don't know. If I was definitely going to pick Dan, Rosmari, or Will as the top 3, but this other conversation, everyone's so generous. Everyone's so like standing up for others, right? So I guess that's cool. That's all cool. My first thought was I want to reward the fact that Dan really got that introduction together and got that's a meaningful like level of I guess accomplishment. It's an accomplishment, it was a specific accomplishment that came through today. I was like, okay, I'll go for Dan for this one. And now for the next round, I mean, we have information because there's been commentary. So
We have information commentary. All right, well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. And thanks, Will, and thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rosmari. And Tadas.
I didn't hear you voted for Dan because he accomplished what specifically?
the introduction, the whole
Uh,
introduction to start the meetings, he was saying, I hope I'm getting this introduction together well. Let me know. Yeah,
Yes.
it's not bad.
Thanks. That's also partially thank Vlad there too. He gave me some feedback that he said my presentations are sometimes too long, which I agreed with. He said it should be 1 minute, so I don't think I can make it 1 minute, but I'm trying to cut it down and make it, just more concise and simpler and provide the good details. I appreciate the feedback a lot.
Keep
Yeah.
improving.
Today
Mhm.
was shorter, I noticed.
Yes. Okay, we have despite the fact that we have commentary and so forth, we still only have 4 people have voted so far. So we don't have a vote from guess who? I wonder who hasn't voted yet.
You can't use 2 apps at the same time. All right, that's
Yeah.
advanced.
Yeah, technology. Okay, well, apparently he figured out how to use 2 apps at a time, whoever that could have been. Uh, but we don't have consensus. There's 3 votes for Will from Rosmari and Tadas, and there's 2 votes for Rosmari from Jason and Will. And we had some commentary already. Would anybody like to further elaborate on their commentary, share more? I can also share more. I gave some pretty short feedback about what Will shared, but I mean, I've worked with Rosmari a lot, so she's doing excellent work and really appreciate it. But I voted for Will because I think what Will is doing is amazing. Like it's really exciting, it's really fascinating. I still don't understand a lot of it, but like I'm enjoying every week, like Will supporting Optimism Fractal, and then Like there's all these cool projects he's doing, and a lot of them are like directly related to building on optimism and doing the regen education. So I just really appreciate what Will is doing, and also it's great listening to his podcast as well. Um, and so I've been learning a lot.
I second that. I think he's doing great work and super interesting too.
Bad there's no blushing emoji.
He turned over his camera so we wouldn't see him blushing, maybe. His face is all red. I'm just joking again once
We
again.
have consensus now
Okay.
for Will. For Will 5.
Sounds good. Thanks, Will.
Congrats.
Oh, there's a blushing emoji. He found it.
I found it.
Level 4.
Okay.
I don't feel I need to change my vote in the last round. There's a consensus, so we can just move past it. We can just let that vote stand as it is.
Okay. Sounds good.
I voted in this round.
There's mostly consensus for Rosmari. She has 60% of the vote. She voted for Jason, and I voted for Tadas. Partially, even though Tadas said he didn't do that much, I think that Rosmari probably did a lot more this week, and in recent weeks. So I think I'm probably gonna switch to Rosmari, but also want to give respect to Tadas too because he's doing incredible work and overall, like, um, I think just the contributions that Tadas has made in general for Optimism Fractal and Fractals is like enormous, basically. And he's always deserving more respect. But I'm happy to switch to Rosmari as well for this week as well, and then give Tadas a level 6 maybe next week after after he gets back into the swing of things. And I'm very glad that Tadas is feeling better now.
Thanks, Dan. But we should not award being sick.
Yeah, but we've always talked about like so I agree we shouldn't avoid being sick for sure. But we've often talked about like it's meant to be the past week contribution, but also it's
Yeah.
not just the past week, it's also like prior contributions as well. So that's kind of what I was having in mind. And like we were like for example, when Rosemary we're working on the thumbnail, we were working on respect trees. And we wouldn't be able to work with respect trees and without what you did like to think of that idea basically. And then similarly, when I started thinking about the seasons, I was thinking, okay, how can we do that based upon the stuff we talked about, OPF trees and respect trees? So and you also gave us some time too, but yeah, I switched to Rosemary because she did a huge amount, and of course, like I said, it's always a pleasure working with you, Rosemary, and really appreciate it immensely.
And we use fractalgram every time.
Mm-hmm.
Without fractalgram, we weren't gonna be voting that way.
We'd be lost.
Yeah, I hope Vlad builds something better. So
There's a lasting value. There's a lasting value to that. Continued use, for sure. And I'm so glad to get this feedback too about like the fractal, the idea of the fractal and what it is. And I think of it, I think of it as the baseline is that what's like normal or something, and that person is sick, but they still do something that's a bit above normal. That it's relative. There's a relativity aspect to it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about the subjective consensus, which might be an oxymoron. I don't know, or I don't even know if that's the right word, or redundant is the word I was looking for.
Oxymoron is a word, of course.
It's a word, but I don't know exactly. I forget what it means. I don't know if that what I was trying to say.
Right. It depends on where a person's coming from. If a person normally has like a lot of momentum going on something, and then this show 1 week, and it's like, well, I kind of like took it off the throttle a little bit, and went on vacation and didn't do anything, then that's not normal. That's less than normal, right? But if a person's like, well, I was sick, but I still did one thing, even though I was sick or something, that's above normal. But sorry, I don't know why that I felt like I wanted to get that across, but fractal respect is like anything, right? It's kind of formless.
Yeah, it's a good point. It is what we make of it, and it's got this general guiding principle of what you do the past week, but people can also use their subjective opinion, and that's kind of that's one of the beautiful things about it that enables people to form consensus on what they really think and how they feel.
And in your case, it's not really a lot of work to figure out how to get that introduction in tighter and tighter and faster and more efficiently. It's not work, right? But it's major progress. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's improvement. That kind of thing is compared to normal. Not a lot of people take feedback. Not a lot of people take constructive criticism. And we're all sort of like self-containerized in what Will was talking about with like what we've learned, we're processing always. So I don't know, man. Overcoming a health difficulty, we need that with the regenerative life, right? A lot of people struggle with health difficulties and stuff. So not to interrupt the process, we're still doing the voting. There's another vote up.
Yes. Thanks for all the great insights and thoughts. But yeah, I don't think you voted yet. So whenever you're ready to vote, Jason, then you can do so.
I mean, has anybody? Has everybody?
Yes. Yes to both of these questions.
I could have just given it to Tadas.
Jason just always bring this high energy, super funny. Thank you for joining. Thank you for bringing such high energy, Jason, every time.
Much appreciated. And now we don't have consensus here. I'm sorry to cut you off, Rosemary, if you were saying something.
I can't.
What's that?
I can't change my vote.
If
Okay,
you want,
so everyone vote for Jason.
If you want to change your vote, you can. If you're on mobile, it looks like you're on mobile. You can hold down on the poll, and then there's a retract vote button.
Okay.
But I don't know. Does he want to retract it?
I mean, it looked like he wanted to because he was pushing something. So I don't know. I mean, obviously you don't need to. It's up to you however you want to do it. I was just giving you technical.
Maybe he was trying to give another vote.
Yeah. How do I vote myself for?
I was completely blind. I couldn't see the result yet, and that I was guessing that okay, I'll have some fun. I'll vote for myself this time. I'll finally be the one in this group who's going to go in my own corner and make a case for myself. It's something that like it was difficult, but. And then I was like, everyone voted for Tadas. And here I am making a case for Tadas. So why wouldn't I vote for Tadas?
Yeah, you convinced everyone to vote for me and then you voted for yourself. Great job.
Jason's playing some 4D chess right now at there's a game.
That's an easy decision there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So it looks like we have consensus. Much respect to all you're doing, Jason, of course, and Tadas and everybody. But yeah, we have consensus. So thanks Phil for the great game and great contributions. And Rosemary, if you could put out the consensus result, and if everybody could please remember to submit that on chain, and then we can get into the planning session. If anybody needs to go, then feel free, of course, at the top of the hour. But if you could please make sure that you submit your consensus result before then, that'd be much appreciated. And then in about a moment or so after submitting consensus results, then we'll start up with the planning session.
Woohoo.
Great game. GG.
GG.
What's that?
Music, background music.
Oh, you listen to music as you're on the right now? Oh, okay.
She's trying to contribute for next week.
What, contribute in terms of making the meetings more musical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe this would be a really good contribution.
I would love to make the.
I actually have the. Let me play some for you.
Okay.
As we do the ranking submission.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's something that I would really love. Rosmari or anybody else who wants to do that. I don't know if Tadas, you want to bring out your DJ skills from going late nights, being a DJ for 20 years. I'm just joking. But if we have some like music playing at the right times at the events, that could be like a really cool way to make it more like fun and all sorts of stuff like that. And I suppose I can just get started with the. Oh wow!
Very nice.
I thought it was a pretty good idea, so I guess I agree. I see, by the way, Will shared let's grow.network for carving out time for the next couple weeks. Any comments? Oh, okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that, Will. Appreciate we talked about it beforehand. I don't know if you want to add any more. Feel
Yep.
free.
Yeah, that's the form to sign up. So for Let's Grow Live, which at some point we're going to transition into public goods radio. So
Okay, super cool. Thank you.
that's just basically, you sign up, you host an hour. You're going to get some of our tokens as a result of it for hosting an hour retroactively. So it's always good to be growing these micro communities.
Absolutely.
Now I have to hop for another call, so I pushed it out on the chain. Hopefully everyone else did.
Thank you.
Sounds
No
good.
worries.
Well, thanks so much,
See
Will.
you guys next week.
See you
All right,
next
take
week.
care.
Take
See you
care.
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
See you.
I
All
think I
right.
pushed it.
I also successfully submitted on chain too, and my code was 8C9DB6 something. My hash.
Okay.
All right. I suppose we can jump into the planning session. We can have kind of just a casual discussion if anybody has anything on your mind, or I suppose I can go ahead and share my screen and present that idea that I had for the Optimism Fractal seasons. Very curious to hear everybody's thoughts about that. Before I do, does anybody have anything that you want to discuss or anything else on your mind?
No.
Okay.
Look forward to that. Look forward to that. I want to confirm that I broadcast this to the blockchain as well.
Sure.
It's
Did you see like did it say like transactions successful?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. It may be
Yeah, I see.
okay.
I see in Block Explorer your submission, so it's okay. And yeah, we have four submissions.
Okay. Excellent. So I suppose I'll go into this thing now. And share a little bit about the planning session and then the topic that I proposed for the planning session. It says, I'm gonna have to stop the music, I think, Rosmari, because we could try and see if it doesn't stop the music, but it says that by sharing my screen, I guess I
No
don't stop the music. Okay.
problem.
Okay, never mind. I just thought that that's the way Zoom worked, but it's not. Okay, so this is the planning session. We'll be here for another 25 minutes or so. I mean, we could always wrap it up early if we wanted to, but that's what we have scheduled. And this is a place where we can just brainstorm and coordinate the future of Optimism Fractal as well as anything related to optimism. And so just before the event today, I put this out, and apologies for relatively short notice because Retro PGF or retro funding now, as it's now called, was recently announced like about 2 weeks ago, and then I just kind of had this idea over the past day or two about how it could work. Really the past day. So for one thing, last week, Hodlon had asked, or maybe this was 2 weeks ago now. Hodlon had asked, basically, like, okay, so let me go back to the start. So it was announced around the 28th, which was 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, about the announcement for Retro PGF or retro funding, and then Rosmari put out a message there, and then Hodlon asked, like, well, would Optimism Fractal fall under the governance category most likely? And curious how we think about applying, and optimistics for both. And for anybody who's not familiar, who might be watching, I think you probably know, but retro funding is the biggest public goods funding opportunity, I think in the world, basically. Like it's a huge opportunity. There's many people building public goods and building businesses around it. Very much recommend everybody to check it out. This is like the main revenue for the optimistics team right now that allows us to do what we're doing here at Optimism Fractal. And they're distributing 850 million OP, which is like several $billion worth of funding over some time frame. The past one was 30 million OP. And obviously the price changes, but it's a very large amount of funding that can help people create public goods. And basically it's about retroactively rewarding impact. So people do good stuff for Optimism Collective and then they can get funding. And you can see there's been four rounds that have been announced for this year. The Onchain Builders, the applications for that are in May. The OP stack and governance, the applications are in August, and dev tooling, the applications in October. And so we discussed this last week in more detail, so won't go over it too much, but that's kind of like the overview here, and you could see what the like what kind of things that people are looking for. For example, Onchain Builders is rewarding people who are expanding the reach and impact of demand for block space and driving value to the collective. And the OP stack is kind of more technical, so I don't think that's so focused on what we're doing. That's like the core infrastructure. But dev tooling, and on-chain builders. Thanks, Rosmari, for sharing the article. And then governance, which for some reason isn't showing up right now, are all things that I think that Optimism Fractal contributions for Optimism Fractal could help with. And then in general, we also talked about how Optimism Fractal can also help anybody who has public goods and has a project like promote their work and evaluate their impact and all sorts of other stuff that you could ways that Optimism Fractal could help you, as well as you can earn funding by contributing to Optimism Fractal too. So yeah, basically Hodlon followed up with some questions about that and some thoughts, and then I went in the Discord and I followed up with some thoughts about how this, as well as sharing some screenshots and stuff like that. And then we discussed that last week, and then we have a recording from last week's meeting where we discussed this in more detail for about a half hour or so and went over everything I said there, and more and more. And then I shared a timestamp here specifically to that. And then I followed that up by saying that I'd like to introduce a seasonal structure Optimism Fractal. And we discussed this a lot. Hodlon actually brought it up in the first place, and we've discussed it like for many hours, basically, or many meetings in the past. But basically, the idea here is actually starting to do it and align it with retro funding. Like I said, like these are the schedule, basically. So I think it makes the most sense for retro funding to align with the Optimism Fractal seasons, or vice versa, really. So basically, the idea is that well, first off, I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts, and we appreciate the feedback and the ideas that we could discuss during this planning session, and then we could make a proposal with the consensus process to actualize this plan and put it into effect. And the idea would be that we'd be completing the second season of Optimus Fractal next week, which would be our 24th week. So the first 2 weeks would be 12 weeks each, which I think makes it nice and smooth. And then we'd have a week off for spring break. We haven't really had many breaks in general, and I think it's a good thing to start doing to make it more like dynamic and to give people rest and stuff like that, make it more sustainable, and then schedule 3 more rounds or seasons of Optimism Fractal for the remainder of the year that would align with the on-chain builders, governance, and the dev tooling categories. And each would be about 12 weeks long, maybe 9 weeks long, depending on the length of it, and then have a break of a week or two afterwards. I kind of summarized some of the discussion prior to that. And summarize how this would work. So like each one would start, like the 4th round would start in July or August. The first day of the 3rd season would start in, I guess, like 3 weeks from now. I have a calendar that I can show more too. And then I have more ideas about how this could sync with things like we're discussing respect trees and OPF trees. And particularly, there's something that I know Tadas has been working on and interested in about how we can vote with respect in each season. And that could be helpful for coordinating projects for Optimism Fractal, other fractals, or other communities, as well as helping the Retro PGF review process. And so that video that we just published this past week goes into more detail about that. And we talked about how this could align with seasons basically over here too. So we could use something like that. And we could also use retro pitches, which is what we did last season, where we had people with projects all like come and join and share what they're doing to help Optimism and present their public goods projects. So you can see these here. We had a bunch of amazing public goods creators, and we could do like focus rounds basically for these different categories, like on-chain builders and governance and stuff like that. And we could also evolve it so people would vote with the respect that they've earned. More details here. I would also go with Rosmari. We could make specialized shows like from the breakout rooms. When we go into the Notion page, we've been I don't know if this is the right one, but yeah, in the Notion page, we've been talking about how we have the breakout rooms now, the weekly contributions, where we are now producing them, and we're wondering what to do with these episodes. Right now, you can see them on Google Drive. We're thinking about producing these into like a show called Superchain Builders and a show called Superchain Leaders or Superchain Devs. We could have like different shows for each season that go along with what the Optimism Collective wants, as they're signifying by these Retro PGF rounds. And then, of course, everybody would still be welcome to join weekly events and earn respect by helping Optimism in any way. And these are all retroactive public goods funding, so we'd still encourage all sorts of contributions throughout the year. But specifically, we could have like some focused things that specifically go in line with what the Optimism Collective wants. So I wrote more ideas about this in the Notion project. And then you could see it here. And I put together like a calendar view as well. So this Notion project, you can check it out and feel free to comment or share any thoughts. If anybody doesn't have any permissions yet, I can give you permissions here, but you should be able to see it publicly. And one of the things I did was I also created this page that has a calendar and a timeline view in Notion, where you can see like basically how this would look like in this kind of calendar view or a timeline view, as well as there's also notes and considerations here that we could consider, as well as more links to retro funding and how it can synergize with Optimism Fractal at the bottom there. And then, yeah, you can see, you can scroll through here and you can see like, I had the idea that we can call the first two seasons like seeding and sprouting, but obviously we can call it something different as well. And then Onchain Builders would be from, I think this is May 2nd to July 10th. And for each one, I also added like the screenshot of what the focus is for whatever reason that's being cut off right now, as well as some other resources that might be related. I put this together quickly, so obviously we can add more to it. And then the season 4 governance would happen from July 24th to October 2nd. This is just like rough dates because we want to figure out exactly when it's announced, and it hasn't been announced yet, but that's kind of like the rough idea of when it might be, along with some resources. And then the dev tooling season would be somewhere around October or maybe earlier, preferably, so we can have it started by the time that the season starts. And then you can also see that in a calendar view as well. So that's that basically. And then I also just pulled up some windows. Sorry if I'm a little bit disorganized here, but I pulled up some windows prior to it as well, talking about the education hub that I mentioned during the during my respect game presentation. And some of the things I mentioned in the education hub was like curate funding opportunities, because I think this is relevant too. Like we're wondering how to get how to help reward people, how to help people get funding by helping Optimism Fractal, which is what we discussed a lot last week's meeting. And then like basically I've just been curating more about this, and I figure alongside putting this into effect and doing technical development for OPF trees and maybe doing different shows, we can have educational resources so people can get involved and contribute to Optimism Fractal in a variety of ways, whether they're a developer or more of like a community engagement or marketing or whatever their skill is. Then basically they could go to the Optimism Fractal Notion site, and either they could just like contribute however they see fit, and that's great, like we currently do. But people could also get ideas if they want to contribute to any of the projects in particular, or any of the tasks in particular, and they could sort of like this, like the type of work that they're involved with as well, and just like search for, say, for example, if they're interested in marketing or something, then they can see a bunch of projects related, and then have that also kind of along with like these resources about funding. I was thinking of making optimismfractal.com/funding and putting that out with the new version of the website to show people how Optimism Fractal can help people earn funding. And this is what I went over last week, basically, where Optimism Fractal can help people both earn funding by contributing to Optimism Fractal, and then also by doing whatever they're doing to create public goods for Optimism Collective already, and then promoting their work and evaluating their impact with respect and offering networking collaboration and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a high level overview of the idea. Hopefully that all makes sense. And very curious to hear your thoughts. And I figure like it's kind of short notice, as I said. Like I would have preferred to share this kind of like suggestion and plan earlier, but kind of just thought of it. And I think it's good to start doing it soon, because the retro funding is starting in the applications will be due in May. And that's only like a few weeks away. And I think the sooner that we start with that season, the better. And now's a pretty good opportune time after next week's meeting, basically. This kind of plan that I suggested here would be where we have one more week of Optimism Fractal, and then we take a break, and then for a week, and then we dive into the Onchain Builders Optimism Fractal season. And then that would I think that would be great to align with the Onchain Builders, and then we could promote that and really go along with like this huge source of funding and these things that the Optimism Collective really wants, that they're identifying that they really want people to do on-chain building. So and I think in general, having breaks will be really helpful, because it is a lot of work. And just having some breaks here and there, I think is just kind of more sustainable, and also makes it more dynamic, because you can have like a specific goal for the season along with a little rest as well. So yeah, very curious to hear what everybody thinks. Please let me know what you think, and if you have any objections that you don't like, or other ideas about how you think it could work better. And then my plan is to make a proposal to initiate the on Snapshot after hearing feedback. And as we showed before, there's the consensus process that we have here, where people with respect can vote on topics and or vote on things like this as well. If anybody wants to learn more about retro funding, you can check out here. This is the article. And then also in one of these pages, if you go to the Educational Hub and you search for funding, then you can see I've been starting to curate resources too. We've made some other videos about it too. So it's a little bit difficult to navigate now. I mean, there's a lot of good resources, and it's fairly well organized, but I'll try to organize this better as well. And then, but anybody can feel free to jump into it and stuff like that. So I think that's it. Yep. Curious to hear everyone's thoughts.
Yeah, my thoughts are that I think that's a great idea. I totally agree. It's important. I think I really like the idea of taking at least a couple of weeks off every season, and I think 12-week seasons make the most sense, and especially because it's so aligned right now. Before the before the next Retro PGF round, and we are approaching 24th meeting, so and we already called the first 12 weeks kind of first season, I guess. So it seems all seems to be very aligned to have to end the season and call it a season next week. So we will still have one meeting next week, and then we would take a break for what, 1 week or two?
Yeah, so next week we would still have a meeting for Optimism Fractal next Thursday on the 18th. But then we would, what I suggested is taking a 1 week break. I'm also planning on doing a similar thing with Eden Fractal too, and proposing a 2 week break after next week too. And I'd written in that message doing like a 1 to 2 week break after each season. And I'm open to doing a longer break too. Like we've compared it to sports that do much longer breaks or shows that do much longer breaks. So and perhaps doing longer breaks could work well, but I suggested in this proposal doing a 1 week break from Optimism Fractal because Optimism Fractal is still younger and like being more like present for people who want to join, I think might be valuable. And then also given the timelines of the retro funding, it hasn't been announced yet, so that's probably going to come in the next week or two, I think. That's what Jonas, the organizer, had said exactly when it'll be. They said, the applications will be due in May for Onchain Builders, and each round is expected to last about 2.5 months. So that's why I wrote like maybe 9 to 12 weeks as a season, because I like 12 weeks the most, and that's what I'm planning to suggest for Eden Fractal. I'm planning to suggest 12 weeks for Eden Fractal seasons, and then 2 week break after that. But I figured Optimism Fractal, I'd say 1 to 2 week break, and then maybe because like retro funding is such a big opportunity, and because if we take a 2 week break, then that might not give us so much time to do the season. Um, that's why I suggested doing a 1 week break for Optimism Fractal. Basically, we'd be skipping April 25th and then coming back on May 2nd. But also open to other suggestions too.
Okay. And I still, regarding the Retro PGF round, so 2 and 2.5 weeks. So would the application, for how long, when would the application be open, and until then for that whole 2.5 months, or?
Yeah, so I don't think it's open that long. I'm a little bit confused because I actually joined the the Optimism Collective call. There's like a joint house call that happens every 2 weeks, where right after this was announced, the organizer was on the call and he was taking questions and he was answering questions, and I asked how long each round would take. Also, by the way, Rosmari asked if you could apply for multiple things, if one team could apply for multiple things, and he said yes. So that clarifies that we can for sure apply for multiple different categories or different rounds. But yeah, he had said in that, and I shared this in a link if anyone wants to check it in more detail. I'll share my screen again real quick. There's this section here where it says each round of retro funding is expected to last approximately 2.5 months, as you can see here. And then if you click this link, then that brings it to a recap of the call where this was right after the retro funding was announced. And I don't know, for some reason it's taking a while to load. Maybe I didn't make the link properly or something like that. But this goes to to a page on the governance forum basically, and there's a video there where you can see. Yeah, for whatever reason it's not loading. Maybe I'll try doing like this, where I copy link and I do like that. Okay, whatever. I'll let you know if it loads. But yeah, basically I was going to show there. You can find the video where he said that, and that's like the most That's the best information I have. And he said that they're planning to do it quicker than last time. And last time was 2.5 months, but he said it's going to be about 2.5 months. So I assume that it'd be like a month for applications and then a month and a half for review and sending it out. But it could be different too, though.
Okay.
How about we just, for example, because I'm thinking we don't know exactly when the each round is going to be announced. So why don't we, for example, for right now, just have some imaginary dates or like estimate dates for like this year for breaks, but depending on where exactly it lands in time with when they actually announce the dates for each of the rounds, because that's really important. And how about we just agree on a break that is just the upcoming break, and then we kind of form more of a solid consensus when we know about the date, because this break that is upcoming, it would be easy to decide because the Retro PGF rounds haven't started yet. But for the next 3 months, Retro PGF would already be running, but we don't know exactly where in the process that will be and how important it will be to have that week off or not from Optimism Fractal. That's my suggestion, to maybe instead of having like a one decision to say, yes, these are the dates right now, when we don't know exactly when the dates will be, to just say, okay, we can take, we can have this estimated view on the calendar, but up to changes on that week, like break in between seasons. But I agree with taking breaks, yeah, in between seasons and the season structure too. But I don't know if it's 1 or 2 weeks, maybe one.
Yes, so as I understand, Dan is suggesting kind of like that. I think we only make the decision to end this season and to start the next one in, say, 1 week. And we have estimate for next season, but that might change. I don't think we should commit to anything farther than one next season, and even the end of that season, we might switch as we go. Or do you have something different in mind?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, we could make a proposal to start up the third season on May 2nd. And then I don't know if we need a proposal for taking a week off. But also I think the counselors for this upcoming week are me, Rosmari, Tadas, and Hodlon. So if we're all in agreement, then and I think probably everybody would be up for that as well. So we could approve a proposal to take the break and then to do the to start the third season for Onchain Builders on May 2nd. Or if we decide a different date, like May 9th or something we want to do instead, then we could do that. And then we could just kind of like informally agree that this is a good idea to go forward with this kind of seasonal structure going forward. And then we could, of course, leave it open to change the dates and stuff like that going forward after that. Jason?
Thank you. I think that it seems like there are parallel goals in one way to work within Retro PGF framework and what their goal is, right? To build on chain, to be building the Web3 in this way, right? To get that traffic and have value added with information, and at the same time to optimize using fractal governance, using a fractal process. And a thought that occurred, maybe you can like treat it like soft clay, like take the idea and take any part of it, so to speak, or like feel free to change it. But the general idea was that a lot of business operations they have social benefit as part of their goal, a lot of them, and that we can potentially build the web by using the fractal process, right? For us in our discussion, where we will talk about reasons for our optimism that are based on the social benefits, the social goods that are provided by these businesses in the way, in the style they choose to operate, right? So it's not that there's a heavy industry that pollutes heavily, but then makes like a pittance of a cash donation. We're not going to like honor that. But like a business that holistically operates in a way that is beneficial, that is regenerative. They need media, they need attention, they need consumer advocacy. We can build the web, we can find a way to put this together to say, within the fractal governance, our season, the entertainment product of the show, because it's just media, right? It's just clicks and media and traffic and ads and promotion, and that's fine. You know, the vast majority of the internet is just the attention economy. Every TV show that's ever existed, every magazine and newspaper is just people and their attention and how valuable their attention is. I mean, you can even say that for tuition, for people in school, that other people's time and the attention that is shared together is the basis of our economy. So we're making the entertainment product and a show, the seasons, that's funded by Retro PGF, which is all about public goods, and that we make it like all about consumer advocacy. We can make it all about everyone bring an example to the equation of some other company you want to highlight, you want to promote and say, this is my reason for optimism. It's my reason to believe in humanity, so to speak. And that's a win-win in the sense that all of the companies in the world have the same competitive dynamic of what they call social, environment, and governance, or social corporate responsibility, or something like that, right? And some of them are really reluctantly dragging their heels to like do, like I said, like the pittance of a corporate activity that is like a benefit. But then there are other companies that are thoroughly and strategically aligned with doing a public benefit. You know, shows that are like farm made, like a concert that is a fundraiser concert. It's a different concert, for example, that restores people's sense of faith in humanity, that restores people's sense of true optimism, of true sustainable optimism. And it might get more clicks. And it's reductionist to think that it's just that simple as like building the web means getting clicks. I mean, yeah, it is and it isn't. But it is. So I think that's what occurred.
All right. Well, yeah, very interesting points, Jason. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with this kind of and we're doing that to some extent, but I think this kind of seasonal structure can help enhance that and give more focused promotions, and we can invite people to help out and show what they're doing to create public goods in these different kinds of things that are aligned with what Optimism is doing, like building on chain, building this on-chain web, and also in creating a better governance structure for the future of the internet and stuff like that too. And so this can align with all the stuff that you're saying here. Also, by the way, we only have like a minute or two left before the end of scheduled time, and want to be respectful of his time. So happy to stick around a bit longer too, but I just wanted to put that out there.
I appreciate it. I'll put a button and just say, with all that, with the click and the attention and the fit for Retro PGF and all of that, I think that the deliverable that's possible is a very useful public instrument of a rating system for which companies, how we rate and how we understand and what the consumer feedback level is. A real rating system for companies and their effect on public goods or something. So there could be something to that. I love the idea of the seasons, and I'll try to do it as structuring it as seasons to find win-win. I'll try to keep up with the threads for what's happening and contribute a bit.
All right. Sounds great. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it. And that's what we're aiming to do too. That's what the OPF trees, we're aiming to make it where people can vote with respect on these different topics and have it at retro pitches, have it in a fun way. We're making media, but also evaluating the impact too, to help people understand what public goods are best and should be rewarded and stuff like that. So really appreciate all the feedback, Jason, as well as all your help and interest in further contributing. And yeah, feel free to reach out with any other thoughts, of course. And then I suppose Tadas or Rosmari, do you have any, or is there anything else you want to add there, Jason?
No, I'm already shifting gears in my mind for what my own project is and what we're looking at for grants and things. Comparing Gitcoin to Retro PGF, I mean, they're both cool. There's a lot out there. There's a lot to know always, and client work to do. So I'm kind of shifting gears in my own mind, but about this and how it works together, how it all comes together.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, I'm also
fractally, not fractally, but fractal. The idea, the original kernel of the idea of the fractal, the respect game, and why we do it, right? To field qualitative dimensions. Still think there's a lot to that to build out, to build the web for all these ways. So,
yep. Yeah, absolutely. And Gitcoin optimism can sync quite well. And that's one of the things I was working to do in that resource, to curate both resources about earning from RetroPGF and optimism, and also earning from Gitcoin and several other public goods funding mechanisms. There's a whole ecosystem of great public goods funding mechanisms. So happy to help guide you there and help can earn funding for all the great things you're doing too. Tadas, Rosmari, do you have any last thoughts you want to share, or should we wrap it up?
I'm open to discuss it more next week, because I just had some thoughts about the naming of the seasons. I don't know if the naming, I see that it matched with the rounds,
Yep.
but I don't know if that's the names for the seasons for Optimism Fractal too. And that was one thing. And also the other comment is that optimism helps us and we help optimism. That's a good alignment.
Yes,
By being optimistic.
I agree. And regarding the naming, yeah, my idea was just to have the same exact names that they had, but I also had the idea that we could do like.
And the other thing is how it's gonna work too. That I thought about, like, okay, we have this season, but how is it gonna work? Like, what do we have to? Do we have to prepare something? How is it gonna be changed based on that season? But that was another thing that I thought about that we didn't discuss.
Yeah, so there's two things. We could just agree to have a break and then have start another season and call it a season, and then another more complicated problem is inner structure of a season. Like I think we should have some inner structure, like stages in a season and so on. That would make sense, but I think that's a more complicated problem that we are not going to be able to set soon. Yeah, but right now I think, Dan, are you planning to create a poll for taking a break?
Yeah, and I don't know if the poll should be about taking breaks. That's also kind of thing too that I was thinking, like, for myself as a host, like I always have to be here each week, so I don't know if I should put out like a poll, like, to take a break, because that's almost like saying I have to ask the community for permission to take a break, which I don't know if that's right to do. I don't think so. So I was thinking maybe just saying, like, we'll take a break, but then again, we have consensus though already from people on the council. So I suppose I could make that, and it could work either way. But maybe I'll just make a poll that says, like, we'll take a break for this week, and then we'll start the third season of Optimism Fractal. That is aligned with the Onchain Builders season of retro funding on X date. And I suppose I'll do that after a 1 week break on May 2nd. That's my current plan to do that. Curious to hear your thoughts about that, if I should write that proposal differently, or if you want to write it, or if you have some different ideas in mind about the best way to proceed.
I don't know. I think it might be enough to just say that we are starting a new. Well, I don't know. But yeah, right now I agree that you should take a break and then start a new season. That's all I know.
Okay. And yeah, I think it's definitely good to align with the on-chain builders. I mean, whether we decide, I also have super chain builders within their name too, or we can just call it builders. But I think, like, having it pretty closely aligned with retro funding would be good to do. And then as far as, like, how it would work, I think one, we could just call it that, and then like you don't need to do much more. Just call it that as a is something like say we're in the on-chain builder season, and then even if there's not like a specific thing, then that's okay. It's better than not having a name at all if it aligns with retro funding. And then two, we can work to figure out ways that like one, I don't know what the timeline is of OPF trees, but if we could use OPF trees or we could do another round of retro pitches towards the end of the season or whenever it's going on is about that's about retro funding too. So these are like some stuff we could do, and then we could experiment. I see Rosmari said that she's gonna go to sleep. She's gonna go soon though, so we should probably wrap it up. We are like 6 minutes over the top of the hour, so Z Z Z Z Z. Um, okay. Well, if we want, we can stick around to Tadas and Jason to discuss this more, or we can wrap it up and then figure this out more in chat. Does anybody have any of those sets, or should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
It's time.
Yeah. It's time. The only thought that I had was sounds like it needs a little bit more thought, and you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll figure it out, right? Don't sweat it. You already got to read what you want, what you're getting from it, and
Sounds good.
It's been interesting. It's been interesting. I'm already shifting gears to the next thing too. So, till next time.
Okay, very cool. Well, yeah, I agree. It's very interesting, and looking forward to seeing your next thing, Jason. Glad it's been inspiring for you, and really appreciate all your insights and everything you shared, as well as Rosmari and Tadas. So thanks so much, all. Thanks everybody so much for watching. We'll be back here next week on Thursday, 7 EC, and then it looks like we'll be taking a break and coming back for the third season shortly afterwards. I think that's all. Everybody can check out optimismfractal.com, learn more, invite friends. Maybe I'll go. We're doing the hands. We're having fun. Maybe I'll go 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Optimism
Optimism
Fractal.
Fractal.
All right. Thanks,
You.
all. See you.
See
See
you.
you.